Welcome to Hot Topics with Don Lemon. Don Lemon is out enjoying a very well-earned vacation. As we know, he is such a valuable, hardest working man in media, giving him a break. I'm so privileged to be hosting on his behalf. My name is Angie Sullivan of I've Had It podcast and iHeart News. And it's just been a ton of stuff going on this morning. So let's bring in Nikki and Peter and we'll all talk about it. Good morning.
Good morning, Angie. We're so grateful you're here. We're just so spoiled. We got Jennifer yesterday. We have you today. Oh my goodness.
You're going to be sick of I've Had It podcast before the end of the week.
Yeah, I don't think so. I doubt it. I don't think I could ever. I've had it with the I've Had It podcast.
I don't know. You'd be surprised how many I have.
So Nikki and Angie, I hate to break it to you, but the girls are fighting.
Yeah.
The girls are fighting. We thought the hatchet was buried. We thought that Alien and Predator had settled their differences, had figured things out, were back to slumber parties and combing each other's hair. But no, Elon Musk and Donald Trump are at each other's throats again. In fact, if you don't mind me playing, we got a clip on the White House lawn this morning, just an absolutely batshit question and then an even more batshit answer from the Orange God King. Andy, take it away, please.
I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies, Peter. But Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid, maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem. It blows up, you know? So I'm going to give that one to Peter. I'm going to let Peter test it out.
So two quick points of clarification. One, I was not the Peter that he was addressing in that video. I'm fast, but I don't have super speed. Did not have time to make it down to Washington, D.C. this morning. Second point, in case you guys missed the question, he was asked by that reporter, are you considering deporting Elon Musk? And Trump's answer was not, of course not. Right. Was not, are you off your meds? His answer was, I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll have to see.
And what the hell's going on? What's happening here?
Okay, I just have to point out, this man sounds like he has a mouthful of peanut butter or he's got dementia. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. But interesting to me is Elon Musk bought and paid for the presidency to the tune of almost $300 million. And he bought what he paid. He got what he paid for. All the investigations into himself and his companies, where he said during the campaign, I'll probably go to jail if Donald Trump doesn't win. So we know he has done some nefarious crap. So now he's not getting what he wants. He's been moved from the seat of power and he's still thirsty for it. And you have Donald Trump who immediately signals, oh, well, I'm going to deport him. He's a welfare queen. Well, we all know he's a welfare queen. We've been saying that. He is a billionaire because of the United States taxpayer. That is why. That is the only reason why. So now we're in this dichotomy of what are we going to pick? Are we going to pick Trump and MAGA? Or are these politicians going to pick these other candidates to run against? He's saying, I'm going to throw all the money in the world at these people. So it's very interesting, but it is so delicious that this much emotional and mental unhingedness is coming from the seats of power. Although dangerous and scary, it's delicious. I can't help but like it.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see that rather than everything else that we've seen. And I mean, are we shocked that it's not over? These are two of the biggest egos we've ever seen. The fact that they would have just let it go. No, they're not going to let it go. They're going to drag this out. It's going to get messy. It's going to be glorious. Well, you know, from an entertainment standpoint, but who knows? We're the ones that have to deal with the benefits of everything, the repercussions of everything that happens after this.
I guess Trump should just count himself lucky that Elon didn't bring up the Epstein logs again. But then again, I mean, you can only drop a nuclear bomb once.
I still don't think it was that shocking. I feel like we all knew.
We all knew
Oh,
that.
God. Yeah, everyone knew.
Everyone knew that paid even the slightest bit of the Epstein. And I'm just in my mind. It is unfathomable to me where the Epstein call logs, flight records, whatever it was, were entered into evidence in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Trump's names are all over it. And people are running around. When are you going to release the Epstein files? They're never going to release the Epstein files because Donald Trump is in it up to his eyeballs. That's why. So MAGA, stop worrying about it because your guy loves to diddle with girls. That's why. So let's not sit here and act like we don't know why they're being released. It's the most easily discoverable. I mean, give it a slight Google, just a small Google. Yeah. Trump, Epstein, flight logs. It'll all pop up. But, it's just like breaking news. Elon Musk said this. Girl, we've known about this for years.
Everyone knows.
I mean, this is not news.
We did joke about this, Angie, with our friend, the Jolly Good Ginger, last night on the show. It's striking. It's really quite perplexing how many members of the Republican Party are either directly or tangentially related to the Epstein situation or just have some really curious, really scary shit in their own personal lives. And Jolly and I were joking, it's almost like to get into the Republican Party nowadays, almost like as you're walking to a roller coaster and there's a sign that says you must be yay high to ride this ride, you must diddle yay number of kids or family members in order to be in the GOP. It's really quite disturbing.
That's my point. Like, even if he did release the files, I feel like he could. He could release it. It could all be in there. No one will give a shit. I mean, like, we will, but all the people that are making these decisions, they've already decided that this doesn't matter to them. So
that's a good point.
They absolutely have. And when you look at his administration, it's like corruption is a prerequisite. Absolutely. Sexual misconduct in some form, whether it's harassment, abuse, that is a prerequisite because we encourage it because women are interchangeable. They are disposable. Look at all the wives, look at all the baby mamas, just go through his cabinet and it's, the party of family values. Cut me some slack. That is the most hypocritical, absolutely ridiculous. Everyone on planet Earth is for family values, whatever that is, whether it's 2 dads, 2 moms, 1 mom, 1 dad, same sex, opposite sex, everybody's for family. But to sit there on your moral high horse about family values, and this is your administration, and your dear leader is a convicted felon with 3 wives by, anchor babies out the gazoo. And it's like, we're going to sit here and judge other people's families. Like, cut me a break. It's just unbelievable, the hypocrisy.
Family values is just their code word for bigotry. They say
people.
Family values.
That's what they mean.
Yeah, they don't mean family values. They mean white, male as head of household, man and a woman married, having lots of children, woman's not working. This is what their image is. They don't mean family values. They mean returning to a society where white people, and in particular white men, have all the control.
100%.
Absolutely. They want to go back to a time where women couldn't get a credit card in their own name. And, in my mind, women are out achieving men educationally.
They are.
They are performing better with less pay in the workforce. And it is the first time in our country's history that white men have had any discernible competition. And when it's a meritocracy, that's scary. So we need to put women back in charge of raising children.
Yeah, it's a dark time. And it's so frightening to see how quickly this whiplash has taken place, where it's really just been a decade or so. It feels like that you've seen such a revanchist, reactionary impulse towards gender and towards anyone who is not, as you guys were talking about, a white, straight man. But let's, if we can, why don't we dig into precisely why this latest flare-up has emerged between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Andy, if you wouldn't mind throwing up the Daily Beast reporting about Elon Musk funding, or rather vowing to fund, Donald Trump's nemesis's campaign. So let me explain. The nemesis in question is a congressman by the name of Thomas Massie. Now, Thomas Massie, bit of a kook, bit of a character. A bit later in the show, I'll find you his Christmas card from a few years ago where he, his wife, and several of his children all pose in their living room hawking AK-47s or some rifle of similar esteem. But one thing, if I have to compliment, if said AK-47 or said rifle is put to my head and I have to offer Thomas Massie a compliment, he is definitely an ideologue. He is a true believer, and he is principled. Are his principles crazy? One could say yes, but he is principled. And those principles, as a small government conservative, as a deficit hawk, have led him to be very critical of the so-called big, beautiful bill. Andy, if you don't mind, could we play the clip of Thomas Massie bashing Trump's BBB?
Well, I'd love to stand here and tell the American people, we can cut your taxes and we can increase spending and everything's going to be just fine. But I can't do that because I'm here to deliver a dose of reality. This bill dramatically increases deficits in the near term, but promises our government will be fiscally responsible 5 years from now. Where have we heard that before? How do you bind a future Congress to these promises? This bill is a debt bomb ticking. Mr. Speaker, we're not rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic tonight. We're putting coal in the boiler and setting a course for the iceberg. If something is beautiful, you don't do it after midnight. I oppose this bill.
Gentleman's time has expired.
I hate to agree with Thomas Massie,
I know,
but I think he's right.
Terrifying.
Angie, what do you make of again, this latest flare-up? Why Trump cannot take even the slightest bit of dissent? One vocal Republican congressman comes out and speaks out against the bill, and suddenly it's World War III. He is vowing on Twitter that he will bury this man. His chief of staff in the White House, I believe, is saying that Thomas Massie should kiss the halls of Congress goodbye. No dissent is allowed within MAGA.
No. Well, because it's a cult. Oh, here's the picture. Here's the picture. Everybody's got their gun, even the little bitty girl. You know, I have received Christmas cards like this, and as terrifying as this is, they are in Oklahoma. You know, they're dressed in matching Christmas pajamas with their AK-47 starting at like 8 years old. It's terrifying. You know, women in this country have less rights than guns, but that's not the question or the topic.
Mm-hmm.
On this dissent, the reason you can't dissent is because it's a cult. And Donald Trump is so fragile. His ego is so fragile. No one can tell him the truth. You see this bill is underwater with the American people, completely underwater. And I agree with Jennifer, who just said authoritarians don't allow dissent. True point. But you have a situation where nobody's allowed to dissent. And in my mind, Elon Musk is coming through saying he will go to the ends of the earth to bury the congressmen and primary them financially, and campaign finances is what I assume he's referring to primary these Republicans that vote for this bill. Then just as an overall viewpoint, Elon Musk doesn't oppose this bill because millions of Americans will lose their health care coverage through Medicaid. He doesn't oppose this bill because it undermines the judiciary and means the Trump administration no longer has to follow court orders. He doesn't care that the poorest children in America will not receive SNAP benefits, therefore that they will go hungry. That's not his deal. He's worried about his vested interests, which is the EV, and he's saying the debt ceiling, but I don't really think he gives a shit about the debt ceiling. It's just he knows that's a code word in conservative country club Republicans. But so in my mind, we've got Donald Trump that will bury you. MAGA, it doesn't matter what he says. MAGA will do exactly what they want him to do in terms of voting for his bill. If you speak the truth, then you're going to get primary. Look at Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, on down the list. And then Elon Musk saying, I'm going to take my financial resources, and I already bought the presidency of the United States. So what can I do in your district? So then you have these elected members of Congress who I think we can all agree don't give a shit. that their congressional districts are going to lose Medicaid coverage and going to lose SNAP benefits. They don't give a shit. What is good for their constituents? What's best for them? Is it best for them for MAGA to be mad at them and then it blow over and then they don't have to get primaried and spend a bunch of money in the primary? Or is it going to be, I'm going to go with Elon and risk MAGA? I mean, I'm fascinated to watch this. And I love a good breakup online. There's nothing better. And so this it hits me where I live. But what do you all think? I mean, what these Republican congressmen, what do you think they're more afraid of? Musk or Trump?
Well, first, I think I want to just touch on something that you just said. Like, we need to make sure we don't delude ourselves into believing that there is a moral high ground here.
Right.
Elon is not there. That's like, we may agree with him more on this point, but all of their reasoning is selfish. This is all self-serving. And in the end, Elon, Trump, and literally every single one of those Republican senators is going to do what serves them. And if that is backing Trump, they're going to do that because they don't want to get primaried. They don't want to lose their position. They don't want to lose their status. If they feel that that's backing Elon, which I don't think they will come to that conclusion, then they're going to do that. It's all selfish. There's no one here. Morals are not factoring in. Ethics are not factoring in. This is all about what is going to help them the most, which is disturbing.
Right. How do they keep their jobs?
How do I keep what I want and fuck everybody else?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we're going to see.
Here's what surprises me a bit. This is going back to the first flare-up between Elon and Trump, where the former called the latter, or all but called him a diddler. One of the other things that Elon said, in no uncertain terms, he addressed members of Congress and folks in the Senate, and he said, "Hey, this orange dude, he's only going to be around for 3 more years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be around for another 30 to 40 years, and I got a lot of money to spend. So, sure, you might get primaried in 2026 or in 2028, but keep in mind who's going to possibly be bankrolling any challenger to you until, politically speaking, the end of time, the end of your political careers." And I'm actually I'm kind of surprised more people did not take that threat seriously. And I'm not sure if it's just because, we live in not just a 24-hour news cycle, but a minute-by-minute news cycle. And so that tweet just went in one ear, out the other, and now folks are just obsessed with the next major news story. But I do think Elon Musk actually means it. And I do think that he plans to exert influence over not just the GOP, but American politics until the day he passes away. But Pumps, Angie, I did want to pick up on one thing that you said, which is just the utter unpopularity, the hatred that the American people have for this bill. I just want to touch on a couple of polling firms that have recently crunched some numbers and figured out what the favorables, unfavorables are for the BBB. Washington Post Ipsos, negative 19 points, totally underwater. Pew Research, negative 20 points, underwater. Fox News, negative 21 points, underwater. Quinnipiac, negative 26. Going back to both of your points about why are Republicans falling in line now? 1, because they're going to get challenged by Elon Musk down the road, and 2, because they are saddling themselves with a piece of legislation that they know not only is unbelievably unpopular, but will harm their own constituents and their own voters more than anyone else. It is poor folks in rural areas, overwhelmingly in red states, who are going to be hit hardest by this, who are going to have their hospitals closed down, who are going to have their kids' lunches at their rural high schools disappear, SNAP benefits go away, they're possibly going to use healthcare, and they're ramming it through anyway. Just, Angie, make it make sense to me. You live in Oklahoma City, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure if you don't have Republican friends, I'm sure you've been in spaces with lots of Republican and MAGA voters. What's the mindset there? Why do you think so many lawmakers are willing, if not eager, to throw their own voters under the bus?
Okay, number 1, my parents are MAGA. Fox News, they snort it every night, injecting it into their veins. Jesse Waters, my brother, same way. House full of guns. So I know these people. the love, and they're also very devout evangelical Christians. And they're able to separate the people in terms of, we're good Christians and we make money, we're white and we're upper middle class. So those problems aren't for us. That's not our problems. I mean, we'll volunteer at food banks because we're good people, but we're not going to vote for real help for them because they're less than us. And we get, because of our religion and our addiction to Fox News, we're able to see them and dehumanize them very, very easily. And their problems, they're not going to apply to me. But in terms of what I have found, and this is in Oklahoma, and I assume it's everywhere, they're just straight up lying to people. And, I saw, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, all of these things, those are lies. And at some point, the constituency will figure that out. Although I did read an article that they're trying to push back the Medicaid cuts until after 26. So we'll see if that actually makes it into the bill. But what you're telling people is lazy people are the reason the federal government spends too much money. Not that we're spending, $300 on a 10-cent Band-Aid. Not that we're not negotiating drug prices. Not that we're not cutting down the Department of Defense, but poor people are the problem because they're lazy. They're lazy. And so I think the demonization of the poor kind of started under Reagan. That's when I first became aware of it, that, trickle down economics was going to work and it was going to lift these people up. It was going to give them jobs. You hear so many, a senator from our state, James Langford, saw him on Fox News. He's like, people can get insurance through their employer. There's no reason the federal government should have to pay this. Okay. Number one, 40% of businesses do not offer insurance. And you've got Walmart workers that might be working, 60 hours a week, but they cannot afford to pay their bills because the employment rate is $7.25 an hour. So we don't want to pay you a livable wage. So Walmart stockholders can make more money. And then the taxpayer can subsidize their workers because we don't want to pay them enough that they can live off of their income. And that's a huge problem. They're ignoring the fact that there is no opportunity, and people are so easy that are in a better class, upper socioeconomic, to act like that it's because they're lazy. And it's not because they're lazy. It's because they haven't had the advantage of being white, the affirmative action of an education because their parents could afford it, generational wealth passed down through home ownership. They don't understand it. And I don't know that they will.
Yeah, I come from a similar background. Very, very MAGA, very, very Republican. And I think a lot of people push back on the idea. The reason they keep going with that, they're lazy. They don't want to believe that they've ever had anything better. It's like when you say that, well, you're privileged, that they get so upset about that. So they use this idea of, it must be because they're lazy. It can't be because I had something easier in my life than they did. And you see this, I feel like you're right. It did start back with Reagan when we started doing this, demonizing the other. And now we have someone in power that is authoritarian. And every authoritarian group has done that. They choose a group to create an enemy. They choose someone to rally people behind, and they use bigotry to basically enforce that. And that's what we're seeing here with basically anyone that isn't white Christian.
Right.
I've got an update. I'm sorry, Angie, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I want to hear the update.
I'm hearing we have some breaking news. And we have Jolly here.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hi, Jolly.
Hey, Jolly.
Good to see everybody.
What's going on, brother?
Pretty good, Peter. How are you? Good to see everybody. I was hopping on just to share the breaking news. I have a source that's close to what's going on in Capitol Hill. We'll just say that. And the information I'm hearing from them is that senators now have enough votes to pass the big ugly bill. So that's going to happen. It seems like that's going to happen probably pretty imminently within the next hour or so. To give everybody an idea, there's two things I think that we should recognize with this news. Number one, the Senate intended to pass this bill overnight. That was their intent, was to pass it around midnight, 1 o'clock. That didn't happen because they didn't have the votes to pass the bill. So what changed between midnight and now? Not the bill. There was obviously some backroom deals that were made. Now, when these backroom deals are made, that means that they're not, number one, they're not public for a reason, and number two, these senators are getting some type of, bribery out of it. I'm just going to call it what it is. I mean, they've been bribed to some degree to get on board with the bill, and or threaten, as we've learned with the Trump administration, he will threaten primarian or basically sicken the MAGA sycophants on you. So between midnight last night and now, there was not enough senators to vote yes. Now there is. That indicates some backroom bribery happening. Number two, what happens with the bill next? So the Senate did make revisions to this bill. It came into the Senate as around a 900-page bill. It's going in. It's now about 964 pages or 946. I'm dyslexic. I can't remember which one, but it's more. And so now it has to go back to the House because the House has to approve the new version of the bill. Representative Yasemin Ansari is currently leading a read-in in front of the Capitol. You'll start seeing some live feed come in from that soon. You'll start seeing people sharing that soon, I'm sure, where she's reading the entire 964-page Senate version of the bill for public transparency. And I'm hearing that 12 Republicans in the House are not happy with the new version, but I have about as much faith in Republicans as I do gas station sushi. So that's where we are. And unfortunately, it does look like the big ugly bill will go through the Senate within the next hour.
Jolly, when we spoke last night, we knew that Senator Rand Paul and Senator Thom Tillis had voiced strong opposition to the bill. As I understand it, negotiations went as late as 2:15, 2:30 yesterday evening with specifically Senator Susan Collins and Senator Lisa Murkowski. Viewers of the show will know that Lisa Murkowski last week tried to get a snap carve-out only for the state of Alaska within the big ugly bill. The Senate parliamentarian, I believe Angie noted earlier in the show, did reject that addition to the reconciliation package. Jolly, do we have any information, any reporting as to promises made to Senator Murkowski? Anything that may have sweetened the deal to get her on board?
So I'm sure there'll be more details to come out over the course of the day. As far as the bill's about to go to vote to pass, that's just news that's coming out right now. So we don't have enough information as to what made that. You're right. Murkowski, Collins, and Johnson were the three senators that were on the fence who we thought we might be able to get them to budge. There was actually a couple other senators who I was hearing through the grapevine of senators that they were on the fence as well. But it doesn't look like anybody budged, so it doesn't matter. Here's the thing. You don't necessarily need senators to vote yes as much as you need them to not vote no. And so we don't really know that they're now voting yes, but what we do know is that they are not voting no, and that's what hurts it. Because based on the numbers in the Senate, we need 4 to say no, and we only have 2. From what I'm hearing, the 2 that we had, Tillis and Rand Paul are still on a no vote, but nobody else is jumping on the board no vote. And listen, they did not vote no because they just changed their mind. They've had their mind changed. And whether it was, like I say, a bribe or a threat, something happened in those back rooms. And you better believe what happens in the dark will come to light. Over the course of today, we're going to find out what changed that vote. And when it does, I hope that people from their respective states pay attention. I hope that, everything that goes down right now in the Senate and as this goes to the House, people are paying attention. Listen, votes have consequences. And although, we called our senators, we pressured their donors. I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but yesterday, myself and a bunch of other people posted the big corporate donors on our pages for people to pressure those donors to say, hey, you donated money to these senators, tell them to vote no to the big ugly bill. We've done a lot to make them vote no. But at the end of the day, with the Republicans having the majority, we're almost helpless because votes have consequences. So now's the time to pay attention, well ahead of the 2026 elections, well ahead of any special elections happening in your state. This is what the senators are doing. This is what the Republicans are doing. It's gross. It's nasty. And pay attention.
Thank you, Charlie. Hit us up if you have any more breaking news, any reporting.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I
Charlie.
can't say I'm surprised.
I'm not.
I really can't, because this has been the Republican mantra. I'm going to throw a big fit. I'm going to say it's wrong, how immoral it is and unethical and all this stuff. But at the end of the day,
They fall in line.
You're always going to fall in line.
I'm going to fall in line because I care more about me and what's best for me than I do the people that elected me. And one thing, I know this off the top of my head, which is really kind of scary, but 35% of Mike Johnson's district is on Medicaid and SNAP.
Wow.
That's a big number. And he is rah, sis, boom, bomb. Let's get rid of it. So will this motivate people through the next election, through 2026? Or by then, are we so beaten down that we don't give a shit anymore? That's what I wonder.
I don't think it will. I want to believe that it will.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen this happen too many times. We've seen too many instances where we're saying, oh, but this is really going to hurt those MAGA voters. So this should motivate them to change their opinions in the next election. And it does not happen. I want that to happen. But you have to remember that a lot of his base, their opinions are not based in facts. They're based in feelings. They're based in what they want to believe. And there's also a huge amount of misinformation if you are only consuming specific news sources. And I do feel like it's going to be twisted, just like they've done with everything else. They're going to twist it to blame Biden, to blame Obama. They're going to blame someone else for their misfortune, for the fact that they no longer have Medicaid. And no matter how much you try and present them with the facts, they will deny it. It's not going to change anything, because just like the senators, a lot of the people that have voted this way, they will fall in line no matter what. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope that I'm just being my pessimistic self and that I'm going to be proven wrong.
For all you Lemonheads who watched our evening show last night, you'll remember that I brought up how a few weeks ago Don was having a conversation with Jonathan Cohn of The Bulwark. And on an editorial call before that conversation, I had told Don, let's ask him a hyperbolic question. You know, he's going to water down an answer. He's going to give a politically correct answer. But let's ask him straight up, will this bill kill people? Don and I were both expecting him to say no, or again, him to offer some roundabout way of saying like maybe, but not. Jonathan Cohn, very straight-laced guy, extremely sharp healthcare reporter, straight to camera, deadpan said, yes, this bill is going to kill people. It's not discussed nearly enough. There are going to be thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of folks, of families that will be devastated by this bill. Again, and I hate to keep saying this, but it's important, in rural communities, overwhelmingly in red states. Their hospitals are going to close, their schools are no longer going to have lunches, they're going to lose their health care, and their lawmakers just don't care. Angie and Nikki.
We do have some positive news.
Yeah,
Go.
Speaking of Don.
Someone's here.
Hi, Don.
Hi, Don.
Hi, Dawn.
Oh, hey. Hi, I didn't know if you guys were
How's
gonna take me.
vacation?
Hi, Pumps. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, I'm
How
thrilled.
are you?
I'm great.
How's the connectivity? Is it good?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a lag, but just a little
It's
bit.
good. So I just heard that according to our source, our chief Washington correspondent, they had the votes to pass the big, beautiful bill. I'm not as connected as you guys are, but I understand that Jolly did he come on to report it already for
He
you
did.
guys?
Yes, we
Yes.
just
He
had
did.
him on.
Yeah. And so what's the deal? Because it was kind of up in the air, but I always thought.
Oh, we may have lost Don.
We may have lost Don for a minute.
I think he was asking, what's the deal? Because it was in doubt, or it seemed to be in doubt, but maybe that was wishful thinking.
Collins and Murkowski were on the fence, that they were both hinting that maybe they wouldn't vote yes. But from what Jolly's telling us, it looks like they both caved. Now, we don't know that for certain yet, but that's what it sounds like. Both of them caved. If they only still have 2 no's, that would be Tillis and Paul.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
We can. Yeah, we lost you for about 30 seconds.
I mean, Pumps, I'm surprised, but not surprised by Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins. I mean, they always cave and they always indicate that they're going to do something else and they're going to be more magnanimous and judicious. And then but they always end up going with the Republicans or voting really against their own interests. So I'm not surprised by it. It's awful for the American people. It's a terrible bill. And I think you were just indicating, Peter, it's going to be worse for the people who actually voted for Donald Trump, for the people who supported him. They don't realize that the folks who are in states, like ours, like New York or California, not necessarily Oklahoma, Pumps, unfortunately, but that we're donor states. And all of that money, most of the money that, supports their infrastructure and their way of life comes from us. If it wasn't for us, they wouldn't be able to afford or even to sustain the lifestyle or even the infrastructure or the systems that they have in place to keep them, alive and really sort of validated in a sense as American citizens.
Yeah, in Oklahoma, where I live, bottom 5 in every statistical category you don't want to be in: education, place for women, healthcare, poverty, murder. On the high side, all of these southern states that are so moral and ethical, they're in the bottom of everything. And they're so worried about owning the libs when in reality, the libs support their way of life, but they don't understand that. And they're so hooked into the Fox News of it all that they think now that they pay more for stuff, they're patriotic. And it's okay because we're patriotic paying more for eggs. And Donald Trump said, this is the lowest prices have been. So everybody assumes, well, they're low everywhere but here. Because I believe Donald Trump, they're so dissociated from what's actually happening to them. The reality is they're paying more for everything. They're losing healthcare. But if he says prices are down and Biden did it, they're like, okay.
And that's exactly why I believe that it will not matter.
Jolly is joining us. Jolly, we're on, as you know, with Pumps and Peter and Nikki. And Jolly, I'm on vacation. And Jolly's like, they have the votes to pass the bill. Let's jump on. I said, I'm not getting great connectivity. So Jolly, you're not surprised by Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, are you? Can't hear you.
Jolly,
you might be muted, Jolly. Still can't
no.
hear you. Strange.
He's going to jump
Go out, come back. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I got it. I knew what he said.
You read his lips?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad that we're in a place like we are right now because considering what just happened, it's supposed to be about birthright citizenship, but just what the courts have decided, it seems like we have, an administration that's basically a monarchy right now. Jolly, you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. No, Don, to answer your question, I'm not surprised by anything Republicans do anymore. But when Murkowski made it clear that she was willing to flip if Alaska was cut out from the bill, it let me know really where she stands. Because that basically says, like if the 5 of us, if there was a bill about to pass and affect the 5 of us, and I say, hey, as long as you cut me out of it, screw the other 4, that's what she did to America. Now, granted, the parliamentarian blocked that, et cetera, for all the right reasons. But, they have no morals. And I want to reiterate what I said earlier. Nothing changed in the bill from midnight last night to right now. So the only thing that changed was people's minds, and people don't just change their minds without some sort of motivation.
Yeah. Did you guys, to be honest with you, I haven't watched the show, not because I don't love you guys, it's just I don't have great connectivity. But you talked about Elon Musk and Donald Trump, right, in this feud heating up. I'm sure that's...
Briefly, we didn't go through all the texts yet because we had this breaking news, but...
Yeah, but it's not, it's a bit surprising to me that Elon Musk has gone as far as he has about criticizing this bill, and now Donald Trump has come all the way over. It feels like it's weird to have Donald Trump and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson sounding like, more rational, sort of centrist about this bill and about what's happening in America. Now Donald Trump saying, Elon Musk, you wouldn't have your wealth. You would be sent back to South Africa if you did not have government subsidies and grants in order to be able to do what you do. And Elon Musk is saying, I hate this bill. It's ridiculous. But it's odd, Jolly, to be in this place where we're having to agree with Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, Candace Owens, and others about this bill and other things.
I mean, listen, Maya Angelou said when somebody shows you who they are the first time, believe them. And like the mask is off. Everybody is saying, hey, I know Elon Musk was getting government subsidies, but I didn't care until he got mad at me. Hey, I know this bill was horrible, but I was backing it until you dropped my EV mandate. Like all of these people, Tucker Carlson calling him out, being an actual journalist, who would have thought it, and calling these people out. That means he knew the whole time what they really were about, but he played the game as long as it benefited him. And, as much as the other side hurls accusations our way, that we are the fake news, that we are the ones spreading misinformation, that we are the ones that are, peddling conspiracies. It's never this side of the aisle where the mask comes off and we see the true colors. We're seeing that now. And I think that people really need to take heed of that. Not people that already agree with us, but people that, maybe were voting for that prior.
Yeah. It's astounding to me. I mean, Pumps, I don't know if you guys read it before. Let me read this to you. But this is from Donald Trump. He says, Elon Musk knew long before he so strongly endorsed me for president that I was strongly against the EV mandate. It is ridiculous and was always a major part of my campaign. Electric cars are fine, but not everyone should be forced to own one. Elon may get more subsidy than any human being in history by far. And without subsidies, Elon would probably have to close up shop and head back home to South Africa. No more rocket launches, satellites, or electric car production, and our country would save a fortune, in capital letters. And our country would save a fortune, as he said, in capital letters. Perhaps we should have Doge take a good hard look at this. Big money to be saved. What kind of universe are we living in right now?
It's unhinged. It's absolutely unhinged. You have two emotionally and mentally unwell people hashing it out on social media, Real Housewives style. But Donald Trump hits all the buttons. I might deport you. I'll, send you back to South Africa. We're going to doge you. Here's the reality. Elon Musk doesn't give a shit about the people that are going to lack health care and food because of this bill. He doesn't give a shit about the deficit. He gives a shit about how this affects me. And I paid $300 million and I wanted everything. I got all the investigations into myself kicked out. I awarded myself new subsidies, but I want more. I want more. Donald Trump does not give a shit about anything except for Donald Trump. He's making $1 billion a month. He just launched his new fragrance, which we all know he stinks. Like for 10 years, all we've heard about is how this man has this rotten odor around him. So the perfume just blows my mind. But the reality is neither one of these people have anything to do with caring or ethical morals about the American people or this bill. It is how can we propel our interest, full stop. And this bill also gives the executive branch so much more power, cuts into the judicial power. It's Project 2025 on steroids. So I say, let the girls keep fighting. Let's hear more, because in my mind, in my opinion, when I look at Donald Trump and Elon Musk's relationship around the election, I see nothing but nefarious conduct.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to start ratting each other out, I'm here for it, because I think there were crimes committed to win this election that we have no idea about.
Agreed. I actually agree with that. And also, let me say this real quick. I think we lost Don. Let me say this real quick. When you talk about the big, beautiful bill being Project 2025, I think it's important that we reiterate that. There's a reason that Donald Trump called this one big beautiful bill, because it's not, we get so caught up in the budget aspect of it. It's going to cut Medicaid, it's going to close hospitals, because, by the way, that matters and that's important. But there's a bunch of stuff in this bill other than just budget, because this was the one big beautiful bill. Keep in mind, Donald Trump has passed less legislation than any president in the previous 100 years. He has been ruling by way of executive order because his intent was to get this one big, beautiful bill through, which is going to do, as Angie just mentioned, several things. It's going to extend the powers of the executive branch. It's going to limit the powers of the judicial branch, which, by the way, were just previously limited when the Supreme Court passed a ruling saying, hey, you can't be mean to Donald Trump. And thirdly, it's actually allocating a shit ton of funding over to the Department of Homeland Security for ICE. And if you don't think that ICE is about to become the new executive branch's personal army, then you're not paying attention. This is 100% Project 2025 wrapped up in what? One big ugly bill.
On that note, we have Don back.
Hey, yeah. Look, I'm going to let you guys carry on. You've been doing such a great job. Pumps, thank you so much. Jolly, thank you guys for looking out for me. You always have my back. Jolly's like, we have breaking news. I said to Pumps, I'm like, Pumps, I have connectivity issues. She's like, I'm there. So I love you guys, and Nikki and Andy and Peter. You guys always take care of the channel, and so thank you. I'm going to let you guys go because I keep cutting out, but I'll see you guys
Enjoy
soon.
your vacation.
Enjoy your vacation.
Enjoy your vacation.
Have a
Yeah.
margarita.
Yeah.
Or three.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye. Enjoy.
See ya, Don.
Jolly, I want to pick up on that point you just made. Andy, if you don't mind, could you throw up that tweet from Tim Miller that we were discussing a little while ago? So I want to prepare folks. This is going to come off a little weedy, but we're going to break it down. This is really important. So Trump's big, beautiful bill contains a staggering increase in federal immigration enforcement, with a pittance of new funds for immigration courts, blessing the White House's agenda of arresting every migrant we can now and figuring out how to get around the court later. So let's put that in perspective, right? We don't have the exact figures. The exact figures aren't important. But if you're funneling a tremendous increase of funds to just hire more masked, anonymous ICE agents who are rolling around in unmarked cars, sweeping off from the street college students who wrote op-eds that you might disagree with, and then we're not hiring more immigration judges to make sure that due process is actually seen, is experienced by all these people that we're wantonly picking up here and there. This is a recipe for chaos. It is a recipe for cruelty. Jolly, anything you want to add on that, or Angie, you cut in if you have something to say.
No. I mean, the only thing I would say is extrapolate from what is to what will be. Like, the inevitable is, it is migrants now and it is us later. That is
Right.
point blank, period. This is not hyperbole. This is not just political theater. In fact, this is the playbook of fascism. When you're taking money away from people who are sick, cutting Medicaid, taking SNAP benefits away, closing down hospitals, doing all these things that we've heard the big ugly bill is 100% going to do, taking away school lunches from children, but then using that same bill to increase funding for your secret masked agents who run around arresting people on the streets. Maybe we've heard this story before. Then you need to extrapolate. The inevitable is that those mass agents will soon be knocking on a door near you, U.S. citizen.
Right. Well, they're already getting U.S. citizens caught in this shuffle, and without the judges, you're just in detention. So now you've got the alligator Alcatraz. We're seeing that other nationals from other countries that were here legally are dying in ICE custody. The inhumane treatment of these people, and you go back to the reason that the American people and the lower class, middle class, you can't have nice things. It is not because of immigrants. It's not because of trans people. It's not because of drag queens. It is because billionaires don't want to pay taxes, and Republicans want to consolidate power, so that if you are white and you are rich and you are male, you are starting the 100-yard dash at the 99-yard line, and everybody else goes back. And so these white women who make me crazy, that I know, that are voting against their own interest and their daughter's own interest, they're coming for you. They're coming for everybody, unless you are white, male, and rich.
And I think it's an important
And
point there.
and
And
heterosexual.
Christian, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's an important point real quick. I'll say this, then I have to run because I got to go down to Virginia Beach. But there is an important point that Angie made here. Let me explain what it is. The far right, MAGA, the Republican. I don't like calling the Republican Party anymore. It's the party of MAGA. Okay, the MAGA has made a line in the sand, and that line in the sand is we don't want any more Democratic elected officials near us. We don't want them to win any more elections. We don't want them, we don't care what we have to do, whether we got to rig it, whether we got to change the rules, whether we got to block judges, no matter what we got to do. It's going to be our way or the highway, and we don't care who doesn't like it. That's the line that they've drawn in the sand, and it's been abundantly clear. Donald Trump came into office saying, I've got this big mandate from the American people, because he made it sound like he won some landslide victory that he didn't win. It was the smallest percentage margin of victory in the past 50 years. So he doesn't have a mandate by the American people, but that's the snake oil they're selling. So what does that mean? That means when this big ugly bill passes and is finally law, the provisions in it are intended to do one thing: make sure that every future election is so heavily weighted to one side that it's near impossible for the other side to win, us being the other side. And then they can say, look, see, the people just love MAGA. That's why they keep voting for us, despite it being rigged. And I can't remember who said it a minute ago, but I agree with you. I think soon enough, the 2024 election will come to light, and we'll find out that was rigged. So, I mean, this is bad. Everything that we said is going to happen is happening. This is Project 2025. And listen, man, I wish I had some message of hope for everybody, but it's time for us to build community and start making plans on how we're going to respond to this, because it's not good.
Thanks, Jolly.
Agree.
Thank you all.
Thank you for leaving on such an uplifting note.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, with that note, bye.
So Lemon
Now that we all
has
feel worse.
Yeah.
Lemon Legends. We're getting close to the bottom of the hour, so we'll wrap up with some final thoughts. I guess I want to quickly reference something that happened late last week. Tom Homan was asked on the White House lawn about a Canadian national. Angie just alluded to this a few minutes ago. A Canadian national who died in ICE custody. He was pressed about this by a reporter. And what was Homan's response? Homan's response was, people die in prisons, people die in jails, people die in ICE custody every day. What the fuck are you talking about? This was a human being who perished on your watch, and you have no sympathy. You don't reach out to his family. You don't send them thoughts and prayers at the very least. You just wave it away and say people die every day, in the same manner that Senator Joni Ernst did in that bizarre video from a few weeks ago, saying well, we're all going to die, so who cares? My thesis that I'm coming around to at the end of the show is that the notion that the Republican Party is quote unquote pro-life is fucking bullshit.
Oh, it's bullshit.
They don't care if folks are dying in ICE custody. They don't care if children are going to go hungry. They don't care if grandmothers and grandfathers are going to pass away because they can't afford insulin. It is a death cult. Mm-hmm. And I mean that quite literally.
And I feel like it always was. They used to put on the face of thoughts and prayers, but they never gave a shit. Otherwise, they would have actually tried to do something about it instead of actively blocking every time someone tries to do something to help people. We've gotten to a point where they're not even trying to put on the face of kindness and being humane. They just accepted that, yep, they don't give a fuck.
Their base likes it. Their base looks at those videos Stephen Miller puts out, and they're like,
is the point.
Cool, I feel good about it. But I think
exactly.
Part of the thing we have to reconcile is Donald Trump's going to die at some point. He's old, he's fat, all the things. But the reality is we have a severe lack of empathy in the United States. How did we get here where empathy is, like Elon Musk said, a weakness? But there is a huge empathy problem. And I think it starts with white people. But I think we need to look at why are the American people lack empathy for other humans on such a tens of millions level. What are we missing in this country that other countries can see the collective human race where we can only see ourselves? And I think it's really scary.
Well, friends, this has been an interesting show, an eventful show. We had some surprise cameos. We had a wonderful, wonderful guest host in Angie Sullivan of the I've Had It podcast. Angie, where can all the Lemonheads, Lemon Nation members, Lemon Legends, where can they find more of you? Because I've been watching the chat all show. They adore you.
Oh, that's so nice. We have Jennifer and I have I've Had It podcast, which releases Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we also have a daily kind of small short news hits called iHip News. So you can find us there. We're on all the platforms. So, I mean, we're hard not to find if you Google it.
Amazing. Well, I've had it with you, not on this podcast, so please come back. Please.
I will absolutely come back. Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Love it.
Thank you, Angie. Nick, you want to play us out?
Is it my turn again? I feel like I did it yesterday. I think it's your turn.
It's my turn. All right. Lemon Nation, you can be informed without being inundated. So, until we see you at 5 p.m., turn this TV off.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.